Great. So now your main body fabric has that seam stitched down with a top stitch, and so does your lining. So now what we're going to do is going to take the lining, excuse me, and we're going to create the seams on, or the hems on the edges of this lining. So this is the right side of the fabric. This is the wrong side of your lining. You can see because your seam is here with your raw edges in there. We're going to hem these edges. Okay, so that just is going to help create a nice clean edge for the area where your filter will go in between the two layers. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to hide the raw edge by just doing a minimal fold. And because you've more than likely, I'm going to use my iron just to make it easy, because you've more than likely drawn your seam allowance on that side on there, that line there is where you're going to do your next fold to create a hem on both sides of your lining. Okay, so just to repeat that, we just want to fold it to hide the raw edge just a little bit, enough that you can hold it under there without being difficult. And then you're going to fold it again on your seam allowance there line. I'm going to pin it just because it makes it a wee bit easier to keep it in place. You could also quickly iron it, that'll hold it in place as well. And you're going to stitch down either side of that lining hem. Remembering that you've done this on the wrong side of the fabric. So that you will have both your seam down the center and your hem seams on the same side. Okay, I'm going to show you this. I'm also going to add some just some photos that I took when I made a couple mask earlier, like the one that I showed you on the previous video. I'm going to put them on there too, just so you can see for clarity exactly what I've done in a few steps. So I'm going to sew down these seams now to hold that hem in place. Sewing machine's eating my fabric. That's not very helpful. Let's try again. I'm going to go back and forth on this just to give it a bit of strength there at the start. The sewing machine is not enjoying this. Oh dear. Right when your sewing machine needs a service, your whole country goes into a lockdown. Okay. Go ahead and do both sides. My sewing machine really is having trouble. Okay, neaten up those threads on either end. Can you hear my dog barking in the background? She also feeling quite housebound. Okay, so with your lining fabric, you now have 2 beautiful hems on either side. Okay, nice and easy. So now what we're going to do is grab our main body fabric, right side facing up, and our lining fabric, right side facing up, facing down, and we're going to join them together. So the right sides of the fabrics should be matching. And we're going to pin them in place to match along the top and the bottom. Just make sure when you're doing this, you're obviously putting the top part of the mask at the top, not the other way down, other way around. I know when Eva first made hers, she had them the other way around, and we couldn't figure out for a minute why it wasn't working. Okay, I have a photo of the previous one I did of these, so I'll put that on there too, just because I'm not sure that this video is the clearest thing. And then you're going to top stitch, or just stitch along your seam allowance line. I'm going to use my lining fabric as guidance because it is white and I can see the line on there. Okay, so you should have something that looks a little bit like this. Your lining pinned into your main body fabric, right sides together. And we're going to go ahead and stitch the top seam and the bottom seam with your sewing machine. Okay, with your 1/4 inch seam allowance again.